All right, guys, and we are back for the second half here of our recording session, where we last week we did Gables' bracket for his favorite games. When we took his 65 games, I took the top 10. I did his top 10 list from the last all the way back 2013. Except for 2013, we did his top 5 list. So we had 65 games. We've ranked since we've been doing this podcast, and I put them in a bracket and ranked them 1 through 16. What I did is I just put pretty much I put them in order, like, so I put all the number ones, number twos, number threes together, and then so like the 2013 game, number one game on your 2013 list is your number one overall seed, and then just put them all in order by that way. Just make it, this is the easiest way I can do it without putting 2-3 hours into it. So we're doing mine this year, this week.
This week, yes.
Yeah, it's been a long week. We're on to the next year. So we're doing mine this week. I went ahead while I was editing the show last Sunday night after we recorded. I put my list together. I only remember honestly 2 of the matchups in the first round, and I don't remember any of what any of the matches were after that because I was half drunk, and that was a week ago at this point. So I'm trying to forget them as best I can. For the most part, like I said, I've pretty much forgotten them. But if you want to check out his, like I said, that came out last week. That was a lot of fun. I've already listened. I was here for it, doing it, and then I've listened to it twice since then. So it was a fun podcast that we did. He's going to do mine from this time. Like I said, I put the bracket together, but he's going to be telling me the matchups and then doing everything, so I can't see it. So I won't be able to spoil the surprises that will not be fun for me as we go throughout this podcast. So, Gables, you have the bracket, so let's go ahead and begin, buddy.
All right, now that I have the floor right here, we're going to go right immediately into the first round of Tyler's bracket. Now, to clarify with everybody else that's listening, this is from our Game of the Year's list from 2013 all the way up until 2019.
Yep.
So, without further ado, we're going to start with bracket number 1. So, what we got going right here is we have the number 1 seed against the number 16 seed here. So, we have The Last of Us versus Yu-Gi-Oh! Legacy of the Duelist.
All right. Well, okay. It's obviously Last of Us. But I think the hard part throughout this thing isn't going to be so much deciding the games that we're picking, but it's saying goodbye to the games that we're not picking.
Right.
Yu-Gi-Oh! Legacy Duelist, fantastic game. I mentioned on the last show we did, on your episode we did last week. I recently went back and I played it for like an hour and just played through like the original, like there's like challenge modes you can do and play some of that. And the game's still fun, still holds up. So yeah, that great game. Man, like we waited so long for a good Yu-Gi-Oh! Game. Finally got it. Hopefully we get another one sometime eventually. But
well, hopefully, yes.
Yeah. It's gotta be Last of Us though, obviously. So.
All right. So The Last of Us goes on, which introduces us to matchup number 2 in bracket 1. We have The Legend of Zelda: Link Between Worlds versus Wolfenstein 2.
Ooh. Oh man. For the most part, when I put these games like on my brackets, like or on my top 10s lists, like the ones that you can beat, I usually beat them because a lot of times for me, because I beat a lot of the games I play. A lot of times I regret beating them because like the games weren't good enough. But it's like I invested so much time into it, I gotta make it worth it. And like Link Between Worlds is one of those unfortunate games that I never did beat. I had a blast with it, and I think something came out. I think it was Last of Us. No, not Last of Us. Something came out, and it took my attention away from it. Because I remember I bought the 3DS. One of the main reasons I bought it was for that Pokemon X. Those were like the 2 games I bought it for.
Yep.
And I blast with it, and
I think it could have been Last of Us, Tyler, because it was during that same time frame.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think it was close to that, or it could have been maybe Assassin's Creed, Black Flag. It was that time frame. So something took my attention away from it. And I just never got. I remember I was like literally had 2 dungeons left, and I could not stop playing like crazy. Love that game. Great game. Blink to the Past is probably one. If I don't have like a ranking in my head, but it's definitely like 1 or 2 on my list for favorite Zelda games. So having this, going back to it, was great. But man, unfortunately, I'm gonna have to go Wolfenstein 2. We'll go Wolfenstein 2. That's the 9. Is that the 9 seed? Wolfenstein 2?
Yeah, that was the number 9 seed.
Okay. All right.
Okay. So now we're going to follow up with matchup number 3 in bracket 1. Rocket League versus Life is Strange, BTS. So we have the 5 seed against the 12 seed.
Oh, fuck. All right. So like BTS is life is Before the Storm.
Yep.
There was only so much room in those brackets, so I just tried to make them as simple as possible. I love Before the Storm. I still listen to the soundtrack from Before the Storm. Like I literally listened to the soundtrack like 3 or 4 days ago. Not the whole one, but I like to put it on and listen to it like when I'm taking a shower or just getting ready or doing whatever. Like it hits me. I love it. I love that fucking. I mean, like I liked Life is Strange 1 a lot, but it was Before the Storm that totally like put it in like upper echelons for me. Those characters especially. Oh man, but it's got to be Rocket League. It's got to be Rocket League. It is.
Okay.
Rocket League.
All right. Now the next matchup is between the number 4 seed and the number 13 seed. Celeste versus Steam World Heist.
Oh man, I hate myself right now for this. God, this is payback for me from like laughing at you last week and like it's like how can you not pick these games? Like how is he picking this one over that one? Or like this sounds so easy to me, but it's like it's like when these games are on our top 10 list. Like we play a lot of games every year, and it's like a lot of these games on our top 10 list made an impact on us. Fuck man, Serial Heist was great. I distinctively remember playing through that, watching, and I was watching the to make a murderer or whatever it was called on Netflix. Like I remember just sitting on my couch and just could not. One weekend I poop socked all of SteamWorld Heist and Making a Murderer, just doing both those at the same time. That game was a fucking blast. Even had a Firefly reference in it at the beginning. I replayed through a good chunk of it again on PS4 a couple years back, and I bought the DLC for it and everything. Like I love that game. I'd like to have another one. I love those guys, but Celeste. It's gotta be Celeste.
Okay. Okay, so the next matchup we have here is between the number 6 seed and the number 11 seed with Luigi's Mansion 3 and Mortal Kombat 11.
It's funny, we just talked about both of those games on our last podcast.
I know, right?
Yeah, it's like I don't know. Like I always loved the NetherRealm games. Like I love the Injustice games. I love the Mortal Kombat games. I like the Injustice ones more so. But I don't know. Like it's like MK11 was a really good game. It's more of what I want, but it's my least favorite of the 5 games they've made since they've kind of come back with MK9, and including the 2 Injustice games in there. And like I don't know, because like it was definitely, the gameplay was a lot of fun, but I thought like the stories were at least fun and dumb enough to like keep you interested throughout them. And like MK11's story, I think, was just too dumb. It just went too far in the dumb level that I was like, I'm just ready for that game to be over. So yeah, I'm gonna go Luigi Mansion 3. Luigi Mansion 3.
Okay. All right, so the next matchup is between the number 3 seed and the number 14 seed of bracket number 1. Outlast versus The Legend of Zelda: Link's Awakening.
Oh man, this is gonna be the first real tough one. Outlast or Link's Awakening, where it's like Outlast was great. Like number one we just talked about on the last show, where it's like Outlast was really great at the time it came out. I love that game a lot. And it's like when I finally played, like I was so excited for Outlast 2. Like I was saying, like what Bob Braid was like, I wanted to recapture that magic, and it just, as at that point I was so burnt out on those style of games. And it's like whenever I see those games, it's like even the Blair Witch Project one that came out last year, it's like I played a decent chunk of that, but that's only because Courtney was so into it. I'm like, oh cool, she's finally into a game. And I was like, I don't want to play this game anymore. It's like I'm not having fun with this game. It's like I'm tired of these games. And like Link's Awakening was a really good game. I would have loved it way more if it went for all the bullshit trading items shit. Like that game would have been game of the year contender for me had it not been for all that other shit. Just like when I found out, like, no, that thing you did, like I thought was optional and I only did a couple of throughout the game. No, you have to do like all 16 of these, and it's completely random how it works out. You just got to bump these people, and that really hurt that game for me. But oh man, I think I have to go with, it's like, because Outlast in itself I love, and it's tough, but I hate that genre now. I'm sick of that genre. It's like Link's Awakening is a great game, but it's like that one thing. It's like There was nothing wrong with Outlast itself. It was everything since then's been wrong with Outlast. My burnout of that. It's like stuff like I'm punishing. I feel like I'm punishing Outlast for being sick of the genre. When like, but it's like Link's Awakening. Like I would rather play Link's Awakening again right now than Outlast, even though Link's Awakening is like a 20-hour game and Outlast is like a 5-hour game. Oh man. I gotta ask you, what would you pick? I'm curious for your.
What would I pick?
Yeah, between Link's Awakening and Outlast. I'm asking the audience.
Well, let's see. If I was the audience and I was listening to you, and I had the choice between Outlast and Link's Awakening, knowing full well that given you've had some frustrations with Link's Awakening because of the whole fetch quest stuff, but at the same time, up until now, you were judging Outlast based upon what came after it instead of the experience that you had inside of the game's initial experience, which was a solid 5 hours for you, I may add, because that was definitely a worthwhile experience in my opinion when I played through Outlast. But you were just saying before, the Link's Awakening definitely was a fantastic game leading up to the whole fetch quest stuff in regards to the way it looks, the way it plays, and stuff like that. But other than that, though, I can't really say if I pick one over the other because, for one, I've never actually played the remaster of Link's Awakening.
I don't know. I mean, you couldn't answer the question, but I think you answered it for me. Where it's like, it's like, I loved Outlast. I loved that time I played of Outlast. And it's just like, yeah, like, I don't want to play it again. But, yeah, you're right. I'm going Outlast.
Okay. All right, so here comes our next matchup. It's between the number 7 seed and the 10 seed with Doom 2016 versus Fallout 4.
Oh, fuck. So it's funny when I was putting this top 10 list together. It's like, man, it's like some of these games I had on my list because like we always did them like the last week of December or like that first week of January.
Yeah.
Just give ourselves the max amount of time to play these games. It's like I remember like some of these games were like they were on my list, but it's like I was like they're like in my mind. They're like I have the right to move these around later type of thing, and I didn't end up doing that. But it's like because like Fallout 4 at the time, like I remember like really liking. I put like almost 40 hours into it, but I was like. I got so sick and tired of loading screens and the like encumbrance, but it's like I got tired of that loop where it's like I'm enjoying this game, but it's just like I end up. This is one of those games that did not make that made my, one of the few games that's made my list that you can beat that I didn't beat. Oh man, it's Doom. Obviously, it's got to be Doom.
Okay.
I love Doom, but yeah, Fallout 4, man. It's like it's just funny that made my list when I was looking at like think about like now. It's like oh man, I don't like that. As I went back and played it, I was like, I don't like this game. I'm not having fun with this game. So I'm shocked that it made my list and made it as high as it did. I think it was like 6th or 7th on my list that year.
Yeah, I know that's very surprising to me too.
Yeah.
Okay, needless to say, let's move on to the final matchup of bracket number 1. The number 2 seed against the number 15 seed. Here's the big guns right here: Horizon Zero Dawn versus Destiny 2.
Oh man, that's funny. Like Destiny 2 is doesn't deserve to be like a lot of these games. Like, but I mean, obviously they're all games I like. They're not like these shitty teams that won. It's not like the NCAA tournament where like this shitty team that went 18-12 against Division 3 schools made it in there because they won their tournament. Their division tournament.
Right.
It's like we like or love all of these games. Or really like and love all these games. And so it's like Destiny 2 is a really good game, and I think any other year would have came out besides 2017, it would have been higher on my list. Like I love Destiny. I actually really, really like Destiny 2. And like I still remember that final mission going you're like right by the sun and all that, like trying to get burnt by the sun and having a bad guy. It didn't I don't think it was like world changing in any sense, but it was like definitely it was a really good game. But obviously, I mean, the game that came out that year, also 2017, was Horizon Zero Dawn. So it's like, and Horizon Zero Dawn was number 1 game, and I think Doom was not Doom. Destiny was my number 9 game that year, or 8 game that year. But so it's obviously Horizon. But big shout out to Destiny 2, man. That game, I mean, we play a lot of Destiny 1, but it was more like a hate playing through it. Like we're playing through it and just making fun of it.
Definitely was a hate playthrough.
Yeah, it's like you guys played through it because of me, and I love you guys and I appreciate that. Well, I mean, Jake played through it because he just loves Destiny, but it's like I played through it just as a joke kind of thing. So yeah, but yeah, I don't know. It's Horizon.
All right. So bracket number 1 for round 1. That's been completed. However, we're going to go on to bracket 2, and this is going to be an interesting starting matchup right here. We have the number 1 seed against the number 16 seed. Metal Gear Solid 5 versus South Park Fractured But Whole.
Oh man.
Two games that that I know you've enjoyed quite a bit.
Yeah. So I always talk about like Metal Gear Solid 5 is like probably is simultaneously one of the best games I've ever played, but also maybe the most personally disappointing games I've ever played. You know, being a Metal Gear Solid fan, like that's probably my favorite franchise of all time. You know, it depends on the mood between that and Madden for different reasons, but yeah. But South Park Fractured But Whole also was a huge. I mean, it came out in 2018, or no, 2016. And I remember, you know, I coming off Stick of Truth. Stick of Truth came out, shocked. Like I didn't even, like I remember like the game came out, the reviews came out, blew me away. I think everybody thought the game was gonna be trash, and couldn't find. It took me like 3 days to find a fucking copy in stores, and yeah, but I mean, I always talk about like Fractured But Whole was like, it's like Stick of Truth. I said at the time was like, it's like your favorite band, put like their greatest hit album, putting on there. It's like you picked your 15 favorite songs from that band, and they put it on an album, and then like that's what Stick of Truth was, and then like Fractured But Whole is like, all right, now pick 16 through 30, and that's what that feels like. It's like all like the best moments, they didn't like and like inside jokes that they've created since then, and also like they didn't get to in the first game. And it's like I really liked Fractured But Whole. I love the story. I love South Park. South Park's probably my 1 or 2 favorite show of all time. But man, it hurts. But I'm gonna have to go Metal Gear Solid 5.
Okay. So all right, matchup number 2. We have the number 8 seed against the number 9 seed. Batman Arkham Knight versus Control.
Ooh, okay. Arkham Knight versus that's an interesting matchup where it's like I don't feel this is one of those ones where I don't feel super strongly about either game. Where it's like, I mean, obviously they made my top 10 list for those years, but it's like I really like Control. I love Remedy games. Batman Arkham Knight I enjoyed. I think it had the best story, but it was probably my least favorite to play. I didn't really like Arkham City because I think like a lot of people, Arkham Asylum was the best one. I didn't really care for the open world parts of it, and especially when it was the exact same world from Arkham City, and the tank shit was completely awful. And Arkham Knight, oh man, it's tough. Where it's like it's not 2 games you completely adore. It's 2 games you really enjoyed, but yeah, you can't make like an argument either way. Where it's like Control. Oh man, I remember beating that one in the weekend. And like I got sucked into it for that weekend. It's just like I beat it in a weekend, and it's like I really liked it. Obviously, I think it landed a decent number on my top 10 list last year. But yeah, it's like I beat it, and it's like outside of like the expansion stuff announced this week, it's like I don't really think about that game too much. Same with Arkham Knight. The only reason I think about Arkham Knight is because, I mean, as a Remedy, it's like, or not Remedy, but Rocksteady.
Rocksteady.
Yeah. They're announcing their next game here soon. I don't know. You know what? I'm going to go Control.
Okay.
And it was a tough one. Like I said, I didn't really have a big horse in that race, but I think narrowly Control survives this one.
All right, so the next matchup is between the number 5 seed and the number 12 seed. Super Mario Odyssey versus Call of Duty Modern Warfare.
Okay. And this is Modern Warfare 2019, by the way. Just to clarify. Oh man, it's like Modern Warfare was really fun. I remember like it made my list for last year because it was, obviously like we talked about a lot, last year was kind of a weak year. And I had a lot of fun with it. It was good. It was a fun back to the basics Call of Duty game. I remember just renting it through Redbox for Extra Life, and just plowing through the whole campaign in one sitting. And I can't tell you anything. I remember enjoying it, but I can't tell you anything about the story. I remember some gameplay, like some moments, but it's like, yeah, I mean, obviously it's Odyssey though, but it, like Modern Warfare was fine. It was fun, but it does not stand up to Mario Odyssey.
Okay. Okie dokie. So the next matchup, we have the number 4 seed versus the number 13 seed. Bioshock Infinite versus Evil Within 2.
Okay. And this is the 5 versus 12, you said?
This is the number 4 seed against the number 13 seed.
All right. Oh, number 4 versus, so we have Bioshock. Oh, man. So with Evil Within 2, like, I don't know if I remember it was better than 1 from a gameplay standpoint, but there was things that the open. It was kind of more open, more like how Last of Us Part 2 was open. Then Evil Within 1 was, it was you're on a path. But fuck, I just pulled a Gables last week. What was the other game it's up against? I forgot it already.
Bioshock Infinite.
Bioshock Infinite. Thank you. I had a whole spill ready to go, and I just blanked the name. Bioshock, man. Yeah, I remember playing through. So the trilogy came out. The Bioshock trilogy came out a few years ago, and I remember playing through. I beat 1 and Infinite, and I remember playing through 1. I'm like, oh man, this game is still really, really good. I remember playing through Infinite again. I'm like, man, this does not hold up. I mean, it's a good game. It's still really. I mean, I remember it was like 2013 was a pretty good year. I think it was like 3rd or 4th on my list that year. I mean, I don't think. I mean, but that was like, it's like that year was held up by, I think, oddly, Mario 3D World and 3DS games like Pokemon X and Y and Link Between Worlds and The Last of Us and Assassin's Creed Black Flag, and then new consoles. But it's like, I think 2013 is quietly not a great year. But it's like, I remember like really, really liking Infinite. And like, there's always the argument, what's better, 1 or Infinite? And it's just like, in my head, I was like, oh, Infinite's the best one. I think a lot of people felt that way. And it's funny, like, and I felt like after I played those games, and I started talking to people about it. It's like, no, 1's way better. Like, why did we think 3 or Infinite was just as was better? So yeah, it's like, yeah, I think that trilogy coming out, the remake, the remaster they did, like kind of in a way, like retroactively, or kind of hurt Infinite in a way. So yeah, I'm gonna go Evil Within 2. I think maybe the first real big upset for the first round.
Yeah. All right. Next matchup, we have the number 6 seed Wolfenstein 1 against the number 11 seed Yoshi's Woolly World.
Okay. Yeah. What was that New Order, man? That game was a black. Like, I remember borrowing that from Justin. I'm like, he's like, dude, just check it out. I'm like, all right. I didn't really want to even. I had zero interest in playing it. I never like. I remember playing them. Like, I played the original Wolfenstein, a good chunk of it, on 360 back when like Doom and Doom 2 came out on it. And I was like, oh, it's made by id. So I mean, it was fine, but it wasn't Doom. And I'm like, remember, and there's been so many like mediocre and shitty Wolfenstein games since then. It's like, I don't even care. I didn't care until it came, and then Justin just talked me into playing it. And I'm like, obviously, since then, like I've loved all. I've really enjoyed the numbered ones. Youngblood's still good, but yeah, what was that one? Completely just blew me away. And Woolly World is a really good game. It's a fun, easy little game. I remember this came out at the right time. It was like, I remember I got rented through GameFly, so I think that helps why I liked it so much, because I paid the full $50-$60 for it. But I mean, Woolly World is a fun game, and I was really disappointed with Crafted World last year. But yeah, it's got to be Wolfenstein 1.
All right. So I'm going to go ahead, put Wolfenstein 1 right there. So the next matchup is between the number 3 seed and the number 14 seed. Uncharted 4 versus The Order 1886.
Oh, man. Okay. I really like Order 1886. And I like I said, I know it's kind of like the Woolly World thing where, yeah, because I went through that stretch there, and like I think this is the 2014 game as well, where it's like I just rented a bunch of stuff from GameFly, because I think I got like a free month of it or something, and I just plowed through a bunch of stuff. And like Order 1886, remember, game came out, and I was like, everybody was pissed off because it was like a 5-hour game, and we got this huge debate about should the length of a game matter. And I can't remember playing it. I'm like, man, this game is really good. and we'll never get another one. I know that, I understand that, but it's like I really like another one, and they set it up for a sequel. The whole vampires and the wolves and and werewolves and shit. Like, man, that game was really really good and not appreciated enough. If that game would have came out for $40, I think it would have been more and more. It would have been way more appreciated, and it wouldn't be such a bigger deal. And like the game has a bad, I don't want to say stereotype, but it has a bad look on it because of its length. And yeah, that kind of sucked, but I think it was perfect for what it was. What they're going, like that story and that gameplay, it's gonna be one of those, like, every generation has like those forgotten good games, and like exclusive games, and this is, I think, gonna be one of them. It's obviously Uncharted 4, but Order 1886 deserves better. That's what I'll say.
All right. Next matchup is between the number 7 seed and the number 10 seed, Pokemon Let's Go, against The Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild.
Oh man. Okay. Oh, that's funny. Breath of the Wild's a 10 seed. Huh. Sorry for the silence there. But yeah, I say them out loud again. I need you to hear him say it. I say them out loud again, please.
Pokemon Let's Go
Yeah.
against Breath of the Wild.
Oh man. It's like Pokemon Let's Go it's like my childhood, like my youth, like come to like 2018. And it's like I had a blast with that game, but I admit completely that my blast with that game, like if that would have been Sword and Shield, I would have hated it. I would have played it. But it's because it was, Pokemon Yellow brought to 2018, that I really liked the game, but like I hated everything else that fucking game did with the Pokeball stuff and the Joy-Con stuff. So it's Breath of the Wild. It's Breath of the Wild.
Obviously, yeah. All right. So to finish off bracket number 2, we have the final matchup here. The number 2 seed against the number 15 seed. Gears of War 5 and Star Wars Fallen Order.
So, I mean, like Fallen Order, that was a lot of people's game of the year, and I get it. I understand why. I played it at a time, though, when it first came out, and that game had some bugs and some issues with it. But even still, I felt like that, like, I've talked about a lot, where that game, like, it's kind of like, not as bad as, like, it's not a fair comparison, but it's the closest thing I could think of for it was, like, I think of Godfall when I thought about Fallen Order, where it's like, Godfall was ripping off a lot of different stuff to make their own game. And I feel like Fallen Order did the same thing when I've talked about, like, before. It's like, it's ripping off God of War. It's ripping off Uncharted. It's ripping off, fucking everything. It felt like the Souls games. It's ripping off all this other stuff. But it came into a really good package, and it helps the fact that, like, it's Star Wars franchise, it's a Star Wars game. And that's not a negative thing. I'm not trying to put it down for that. It's like I talk about, like, Metal Gear Solid 5. If that game wasn't called Metal Gear Solid 5, like, I think I'd probably still enjoy that game, but I don't think I would have enjoyed it nearly as much or hold it in as high of regard as I do because of it. And I think the same way about Breath of the Wild, where if that was just called Breath of the Wild and it wasn't Zelda, it was something different completely, where maybe that game probably wouldn't be held in that same kind of category. But it's because it had Zelda in the name, it puts it up at the next level. And there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not trying to use that as a way to discount any of those games. And I think that I feel the same way about Star Wars, where, like, if Fallen Order came out, it'd probably be a pretty good game, but I feel like that game is thought of higher because it's Star Wars, and that definitely worked for me. I enjoyed it a lot more. If this game would have came out and it was just called Fallen Order, I probably wouldn't even bother playing it. But because it's Star Wars, I played it, I beat it, I enjoyed it quite a bit. There was definitely, like I said, technical issues with it, and they fixed it since then. Yeah, I liked it a lot, but it's Gears of War 5.
Okay. So we're going to go all the way up to bracket number 3.
All right.
So here is going to be... here's going to be one of the biggest rules of this entire tournament, I kind of feel.
Okay.
So we got the number 1 seed against the number 16 seed. South Park: The Stick of Truth versus Firewatch.
Oh, wow. Firewatch was a really, really good game. I loved that game. Fantastic game. I beat that in, I think, 2 sittings in one day. I was so hooked on that story, hooked on those characters, hooked on everything they're doing, wanted to find out this mystery, and I felt like they completely bungled the ending. That game would be held in like up there, and like it should still be up there, like the upper echelons of like really great indie games. And I just felt like that ending was really subpar and really disappointing. And that's the reason why it fell as far as it did down. I think it was 9th or 10th that year. Well, if it's 16th seed, it would be 10th. But yeah, I mean, obviously it's stick of truth. But Firewatch was a fantastic game. There's the next game though, something of the gods, that they got bought by Steam, and they stopped making it to work on the Half-Life Alyx game, because that game was supposed to come out last year, and we haven't heard anything about it since it was revealed in like 2017. So yeah, hopefully we get the next one, because I'm excited for whatever they make next. But yeah, go on.
All right. So for the next matchup, we have the number 8 seed against the number 9 seed, Mario Kart 8 versus Assassin's Creed Odyssey.
That's an interesting one. Or it's like, oh man, Odyssey was a really good game. But it's like that same thing. Like I loved Odyssey. It brought me back to Assassin's Creed. Like I really got into Assassin's Creed game for the first time since Black Flag. It's like, yeah, I beat the one since then, and I didn't, well, except for the Origins, but I beat all the other ones since then. But it's like I didn't really love them, or really, I mean, some were just bad, but I just beat them because of Assassin's Creed. But Odyssey was the first one I really loved. I loved, the I can't remember her name, the female character in that game,
Cassandra.
Cassandra, thank you. And I loved her. I loved, like she was so much better than her brother. Like there was this generic open world fucking guy, a generic video game character. I think his name was Alex or something. But Alexio, thank you. I don't know how the fuck you remember these, and I don't. Yeah, I don't know. I remember really liking this game, but I was like, I thought the biggest issue with it, it's kind of going back to the Ghost of Tsushima thing, where it's like burnout, and also in the fact with this game where it's like, where like there was too much in this game to do, and that's been an issue with pretty much every Assassin's Creed game, especially every Ubisoft game, really. In general, any open world game, they just kind of put too much shit in it to do, where like most of it is just, it feels like filler. It's just like, it's bad filler. It's like anime filler, where it's like we got 53 episodes we gotta do, and we got 22 worth of content. So let's send Yu-Gi-Oh into a CG world for fucking 20 episodes for no reason.
Well, that's a random one out of nowhere.
I don't know. That just came to my mind. Like I'm just kind of making up points as I go, and that's what popped in my head. But I don't know. That's the way I really like Assassin's Creed Odyssey. I love that game a lot. But Mario Kart 8, man, I fucking still played a few weeks ago, and it's still fun to play. Like I don't play it like I won't. If I'm sitting on the couch, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna jump into Mario Kart 8. Like I don't do that like anymore. I did that for a couple of years, on the Wii U, and then we're talking about the Wii U one. But I mean, like even with I have Deluxe on the Switch. And it's like, I still enjoy playing that. Like whenever Courtney has her nieces and nephews over, it's like, that's one of the games I like to go to. So, I mean, it's Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. It's our Mario Kart 8. But I mean, yeah, it's like the replayability on the game is what kind of makes the game so much better.
All right, the next matchup is between the number 5 seed and the number 12 seed. Hyper Light Drifter and Super Smash Bros. Ultimate.
This one's interesting because I talked about with replayability and Ultimate, where it's like I bought the DLC pack 2, and I finally played Min Min over the weekend. I hadn't played her since she came out. She's a cool character. She's fun to play as. Over last weekend, I mean, and like whenever Courtney's nephew comes over, that's like, I mean, you hand him the controller from the time he wakes up, time he goes to sleep. That's all he wants to play. And we bought him a Switch just before he could play Smash and Mario Kart. And I have a lot of fun playing that, especially doing the 5v5 mode. Hyper Light Drifter is, it's a game, that the art style and the music was got me. And when I saw a trailer of the game, I had zero interest in, and I saw a trailer for it the day before it came out. And I was like, I can't wait to play that game. And I bought it. And it's funny because that's a game I should not like. Or I shouldn't stick to it with very long. It's very difficult. It's it's meant to be punishing. It's fast paced. But it's like, yeah, I don't know. Like I could not stop playing the game. Like I remember so many times. It's like there's like that Titan Souls game I think came out. It's like so many games that have that kind of art style that hooks me in. I always thought about like I get a lot of games like if it has a catchy tune or a song I like or an art style I like, it's like they get me. And it's like no matter how bad the game looks, otherwise as a game itself, it's like that the art style and the music is cool. Can't wait to check it out. And I check it out and it's like I hate this game. Or it's like I get to it. It's like it's a game style I don't like. There's so many like of the what the games when like you die you have to start over again, die and start over again. Um, roguelikes, like those kind of games where it's like I hate those kind of games, but there's so many ones that like have a unique art style. It's like oh man, like Rogue Legacy is like I think it looks cool. I want to play the game, but it's like I hate roguelikes, and it's like Hyperlight Drifter where it's like this game is punishing. It's supposed to be punishing. Like every fight is hard. Every map, every section you go through is extremely difficult. But I kept going back to it, and I get to like a boss fight, and it's like I fight him 10, 15 times and die. I'm like fuck this game. I'm done, and I just fucking like you're a kid, you go up and hit the power button real hard, and you just fucking throw the controller down and you walk away all mad. Like, I'm never fucking playing the game again. And then like the next day I jump back into it and I beat him in 2 tries, or I just can't. I couldn't put it. I could not stop coming back to Hyperlight Drifter. So in that sense, I'm going Hyperlight Drifter, but it's
Okay.
This is that's probably the hardest hardest one. It's like like you talk about a game I go back to still 2 years later, or a game I enjoyed 4 years ago, but still love.
Okay. So our next matchup is between the number 4 seed and the number 13 seed. Untitled Goose Game versus Inside.
Oh man, uh, yeah, that's a good one. Inside is a really great game. Like I mentioned earlier, Limbo. Like it's in that those games are in like their own little bracket or their own little world when it comes to like great indie games. And it's like I can't wait. Like they teased their game like 3 years ago, and they put out a single screenshot like over 3 years ago at this point, and we still don't know anything else about that fucking game, their next game. But Inside was like it was a very good game, and it's a really crazy ending. And like that game has probably sold more copies because the people want to know the ending than anything else. But man, that game was incredible. And it's one of those ones where it's like there's been so many Limbo knockoffs since then, and I played a few of those. There's like the Typo Man and a few other ones, and they're fine or they're not as good. And it's one of those things where it's like talk about like I was talking about Braid earlier, the Outlast earlier. Where it's like you're burnt out in those type of games. It's like I was kind of worried like going into that where it's like I played so many knockoffs. It's like is this game like do I want another one of these games? And I fucking loved it. And I really enjoyed it. Oh man. I really, 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 really. Oh fuck. It's Goose Game. It's a Untitled Goose Game. I'm doing it.
Okay.
Just gotta do it. I didn't want to say the words, but I was making the, like I was gonna say some things about Inside and then get rid of it. But then I'm like, oh man, I really like this game. I was like, man, maybe I'll like Inside more. No, I don't. It's Untitled Goose Game. So.
All right, the next matchup is between the number 6 seed and the number 11 seed. Pokemon X and Y versus Child of Light.
Ooh. Is it what's the season this one again? I'm sorry.
So the seed placement here is the number 6 seed versus the number 11 seed.
Okay. All right. Man, Child of Light.
Okay.
That game, man, it's so good. It's the most disappointing game that didn't get a sequel. Pokemon X though, like it sold a console for me, and it's like I talk about Let's Go, where it's like, man, that game was my youth brought to my adulthood. But then Pokemon X is what brought me back to Pokemon. It's like made me like not only did it make me bring me back to Pokemon, it brought me back to Nintendo. Where it's like I had zero interest in 3DS. I hated the Wii. After a few years, I had zero interest in the Wii U, and it's like, man, Pokemon X came in, and then really you and Jake talking about it before it came out, kind of like started. All right, maybe this game's gonna be good, and then like coming out buying. I remember I bought a 3DS instead of a PS4, so I could play Pokemon X at launch. I took all my PS4 money I saved up, and I'm like, well, I'm gonna buy 3DS instead, and I bought 3DS instead. fuck. These are it's these middle of the pack ones that are really the hardest.
Right.
I'm gonna stick with what I said. I'm gonna stick with Child Light. But
Okay.
man, Pokemon X is man, that game is I know for like maybe like hardcore Pokemon fans maybe it doesn't hold up as much, but I think for the more casual ones like me, like that one, it's in the upper echelons for me.
Yeah. Okay. The next matchup is between the number 3 seed and the number 14 seed. Until Dawn versus Hyrule Warriors.
Hmm. Hyrule Warriors, man, like that game, like when it came out, like that one of those games where it's like, oh, this could be a fun little Wii U. It's a game to play on the Wii U. It's Zelda. All right, I don't really care for Dynasty Warriors, but I'm like, it's all right. It's probably it might be fun, and it came out and it was actually really 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 good, and I liked it a lot. And it's like I remember even buying it and playing through most of it again on the Switch. It's like this game's a fucking blast. I love this game. Like, this should not be that good, and it's like, it's like remember like going over to Justin's, like I already beaten it and like he thought he beat the game, but then there's also like 5 more chapters after he beat the game where you play as Ganondorf and he had no idea, and he's like the excitement in his eyes when he played him, and it was fun to see. It's like, man, that whole section, like the last like third of that game was great, and the build up to like the story and that was really good. But Until Dawn, man, that game just came out of nowhere, like, and it was a blast. And it's like and it's like one of those ones where it's like, it's like I talk about a lot. Like I get burned out in like those Outlast style games, and like maybe Braid isn't gonna hold up as well, and like the Limbo style games where it's like there's so many ripped off of them, and you see so many rip offs of Until Dawn. It's like I'm not tired of that game genre. It's just nobody else can match what Until Dawn has done, and it's like even like themselves, right? They've released a couple games since, and they got another one coming out later this year. Where it's like I don't think it's gonna match it, but it's like give me something close to it. Give me 70% of the way there. That's what I want. It's like where it's like, it's like I want Until Dawn 2. I want something to that next to that level. Like I want them to do that. So I'm gonna go with Until Dawn for this one.
Okay. The next matchup is between the number 7 seed and the number 10 seed. Hellblade versus Gears of War 4.
Man. I remember like Hellblade when they talked about it, where it's like I had zero, like I didn't even give a fuck about that game until like I remember it came out, and then like hearing reviews, hearing people talk about that game, like it was $30, digital only, PS4 game. This kind of came out, didn't seem like there was a lot of fanfare building up to it. I think there's a little bit, but I was just like, whatever, this game's coming. And then it came out, and it was like, it was like a groundswell, like it was like one of those games that just like came out. Like games usually like you see games coming, maybe they come out to surprise you more than you think. But for the most part, you know when games are gonna be big or not. And Hellblade feels like one of those. It's not like AAA or anything, but it's one of those games like as for gamers, I was like, it just felt like it came out of nowhere for a lot of people. And I love Senua. I love that story. The whole like idea of like, if you die too many times that you lose your save, and like, this game deals with like, mental illness and like anxiety. It's like, she's like you listen with play with headphones best way. It's only way. I don't know. You can't play this game without headphones. I don't feel like because like that's you hear like the voices in her head that you're hearing. You hear like the left side and the right side, the good and evil, telling her what she should do and like what's going on and like make the psychosis of it. Yeah, I don't know. It's just it fucking blew me away. Like it's a shorter game. I think it's only like 5-6 hours, but man, it was really 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 good, and I'm loving that game quite a bit. But Gears 4, man, like I love Gears, but like I've talked before, it's that Force Awakens kind of thing where it's like I thought Gears 3 was really great, that Judgment was not very good, but it's just like I love all those characters in that game, and it's like the fact that I didn't new developer, new publisher, or not new publisher but new developer, just I was not expecting much, and was completely blown away.
All right, fascinating. So, for our next matchup, it's going to be the number 2 seed against the number 16. No, actually, the number 15 seed. God of War versus Forgotten Anne.
Oh man, Forgotten Anne, man, it's a great game. Really good game, really fun. Like I said, like one of those games where it's like, I remember I was just desperate for something to play. I want to say it's like 2018, and I was just there was nothing going on. I remember it was just like it came out on Switch, and I was like I was just looking for something to play, and desperate. And I was just like I saw the trailer. I was watching trailers for like some indie games, and it's like that, and it's like this really great like, like almost like 80s 90s Disney animation, and I'm like, oh man, it looks really great, and the story looks really great. The world looks amazing. And I remember like seeing I was about to buy it. Like it actually came out like just a few months earlier on PS4 and Xbox, and it was on sale on PS4, and I picked it up on there. And I fucking really enjoyed the game. Love the characters. The puzzle solving. It's just a side scroller puzzle solving game. But I mean the real strength of that game is the characters and the story, and the animation. Oh my god, it is beautiful. I love. I guess I don't really know. Like I want to look up see what they've done, if they've done anything since then, and what they got going on. Because I love another one of those games like in that art style, and I trust pretty much anything they do at this point. Such a great game, underrated. It kind of came out with no fanfare, at least from what I could tell. I mean, it came out and I had no idea about it. It's obviously got a war, but man, Forgotten Land deserves better. Deserves better.
All right. So now we're in the final bracket right here. Bracket number 4. We have the number 1 seed against the number 16 seed. Last Guardian versus Play In.
Oh, so we gotta do that playing game.
Oh, yeah. Oh, the playing. Oh,
yeah, the bottom.
You mean
right.
the one at the very bottom right?
Yep.
Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and go with this one instead. First off, here we're gonna get in the first slot right here. We have Dragon Ball Fighters versus Pokemon Sword.
Yeah. So this is my 10th bet rated games for 2018-19. So that's why they're the 64th, 65th game. So that's why they're my playing. Oh man, like Pokemon Sword was, as a game I remember just getting it for Christmas and playing through it. I had a lot of fun with it. Like actually, one of outside of like Pokemon X and Let's Go, I haven't really gotten to a Pokemon game. I play them and I just quit playing them after a few hours. And actually, I played it for quite a bit, and I did the thing I normally did, played it for like 10 hours and backed off of it. And I came back to it like a month later and got hooked on it again, flew through it, loved it. Like I said, that big fight feel in the Pokemon games for the first time in a long time. Or at least in gaming in general, you don't feel it too often. And then we had Dragon Ball FighterZ again. I hate fucking Dragon Ball. This. I hate anime, and it's like it came out and it's like I had no interest in the game. It came out and like everybody was raving about it, and I got into it a little bit. I remember I bought it to like a few weeks after it came out, and I played it for like a month. Like not I should say a month, but for a few weeks I got and played it quite a bit. I hated the story. Like that was the one thing I like. I enjoyed playing the game, but I wanted more reasons to play it, but I just could not get through. Like I just started skipping cutscenes after a while. But I mean, like I hate anime. I hate it's everything. It's kind of like the Hyperlight thing, where it's like, I should hate everything about this, including the art style. Well, Hyperlight, I love the art style, but I hate this art style because I love that game. But I'm gonna go Pokemon Sword. It's close, but I'm gonna go Pokemon Sword in that one.
All right. Okay, now we're gonna go on to this. So yeah, Last Guardian versus Play In.
Yep. So it'd be Pokemon Sword. For the play-in for that one, the play-in. So
yeah,
it's a quick, good job, Pokemon Sword. You won one, but goodbye. Last Guardian moves on.
All right. So the next matchup we have the number 8 seed Titanfall 2 against the number 9 seed Evil Within.
Oh. Evil Within. It's funny because I remember I still think about this game where it's like I remember playing Evil Within. And I was actually really pumped for it because I love those like Dead Space style games, like the scary games. Even some of the Resident Evil 4 and stuff like that. It's made by the guy that made Resident Evil 4. It's gotta be good. I remember playing it and I hated it after 3 chapters. And I remember it came out right before, I want to say it was right before Extra Life 2014 came out. And I was just I'm I don't want to play it, but it's I have nothing else to play. I remember it was Extra Life and our modem broke that fucking morning. So after 4 hours in Extra Life, I had no internet. So I was pissed. And I was just well, I guess I can't play Rocket League with the guys. I can't do anything else. So I'm I guess play Evil Within. And I fucking just could not quit playing it. I flew through a good chunk of that. That was a game I played throughout the night. I think I beat it a day later. But I just sucked me in. I loved it so fucking much. Titanfall 2 is a game that like I I had zero interest in Titanfall. Titanfall came out, the first one is just like whatever. It's like it's an online only. It's online only. It's mechs and all that shit. Like that sounds terrible. The Titanfall 2 came out. I remember people like the campaign's really really good. It came out legit. One of the best campaigns maybe of last generation. One of the actually a really really good story, and like you actually like the robot you that you had in that game, and like spoiler for the end of that game, but he dies. The robot sacrifices himself to save the guy that uses him. Like you're actually sad at the end when he sacrifices himself. And it's like it's it's crazy. It's like not only did it have a really good, like shockingly had a really good campaign and some good characters, but it's like the gameplay itself was a blast. The wall running. There's a mission where you're jumping back and forth between times, like going back in time and going back present day was a blast. Like that game should have been like, it just seemed like a game that was gonna come and go. And unfortunately, it was left to die because it got put in. Remember, it came out between Battlefield 1 and Call of Duty that year. Like those games came out 2 weeks apart. In between it, Titanfall 2, like EA put that game out just to fucking die, unfortunately. And that game, much like Forgotten Hand, that game deserves better. Who knows if we're going to another Titanfall? I hope we do. And up to the same level. They're obviously busy with Apex, but and also Star Wars. But yeah, I'm going with Titanfall 2 in this one. But that's a hard one. That one hurts because Evil Within, man, that's a one. Those two games right there are like two of the best surprises of this generation for games.
Right. All right. The next matchup we got the number 5 seed against the number 12 seed. We have Spider-Man versus Super Smash Brothers for Wii U.
Smash Brothers is like, I talk about like the other two were like the best surprises of the generation. Like I felt like we talked about last week with yours, where it's like, like Smash Bros. Wii U, like should have been a game. Like I feel like it was like it's just another Smash Bros. Like when the 3DS one came out, like we put so much hours in the 3DS one. It's like by the time the Wii U one came out, it was like we didn't really much care anymore for another one. So yeah, I'm gonna go with. Yeah, no, it's not. No, not Smash Bros. No, not doing it. Can't do it. I almost did it. I was thinking, I'm like, man, maybe I don't know. Maybe Smash Bros. Is better. But no, it's Spider-Man.
Okay. So the next matchup is the number 4 seed against the number 13 seed. Valiant Hearts versus A Way Out.
This is a good one too, because like Valiant Hearts, man, like that was one of those ones where it's like I remember like they were both revealed at E3 that year at Ubisoft, and it's like Valiant Heart like sold me because like once again art style, and there's a dog in it. Dogs obviously help me like want to play a game more. But fuck me, like A Way Out was a blast, and I mean obviously I think the fun of that game wasn't the game itself so much. It was just playing, with your friend. Playing with Gables was fun. Or like I think Valiant Heart. Like I remember they made another game a few years ago, and it was okay. It was another World War I game. It did like the water painting style. But yeah, I mean Valiant Hearts was so great, so much better. But A Way Out, man, that game was just a fucking blast to play through. It was fun, nonstop laughs. If this was a single player game, it would have been fine. It would have been an okay game, but I think obviously being a co-op game, playing like much like Rocket League, if we played Rocket League was an offline game, it wouldn't have the the love and care that it would have given a game that we wouldn't care about probably after a month or two. So I'm gonna go with A Way Out, but that one, man, Valiant Hearts is such a great game. I wish we can get more from them, or at least more of those style of games from Ubisoft. Bring back UbiArt, please. We need more of those.
All right. So the next matchup, we have the number 6 seed against the number 11 seed. Splatoon versus Ratchet and Clank.
I remember Splatoon. I made fun of that game all the time until they had the Splatfest. And it's like I remember that weekend I played all the Splatfests. Like in that weekend, like there was like I think 3 a day for 3 days and for like an hour piece. And every time I remember getting up like 6 o'clock in the morning on a fucking Saturday and Sunday to play those things. I got hooked on it so fucking much. Man, those games, it was so fucking like I I ragged on the game so hard, and it was a blast. The fucking online was good. And I was actually good at the online. And it's like Ratchet and Clank, where it's like I never played a Ratchet and Clank game before, didn't care about it. Ratchet and Clank, like I remember coming through and playing it, and just it was a fun fucking game. But I'm gonna go with Splatoon. But
Okay.
it's yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. Like what's funny because Splatoon 2 I didn't really. I didn't care for it. I just didn't have any fun with. It felt like Splatoon 1.5. It's like Ratchet and Clank. I'm looking forward to the sequel to that one more.
All right. So the next matchup, we have the number 3 seed against the number 14 seed. Mario and Rabbids versus Call of Duty Infinite Warfare.
Ooh, man, Infinite Warfare. It's that's it's funny because I think it's like probably the most hated Call of Duty game out there, and it's like my favorite Call of Duty game ever. Being in space, all that. Like I love like the fact there was like the flight missions, and there's actually like side missions you can do in the game. Like I did everything. I like 100% of that campaign. It wasn't like a crazy amount, but I wanted more content from the game. I loved everything I did in that game. It was so much. Like I wish we got Infinite Warfare 2. Like I would be all board. Like I love where they're going with that franchise and with that game. And it's like I'm bummed out. Like it was so hated. They went back to like Modern Warfare was fun, but it's like Infinite Warfare was so much better. So I'm gonna go Mario and Rabbids, but man, Infinite Warfare, that game, man, fucking so good, man, bums me out. I'm getting bummed out by some of these. It's like man, there's some really good games early this generation that we just never got more of.
Right. Okay, so next matchup, we have the number 7 seed against the number 10 seed. Wolfenstein Youngblood versus Shadow of the Colossus.
Ooh. Shadow of the Colossus. Wolfenstein Youngblood. Wolfenstein Youngblood is like, it's a, like, if I would have played that at launch. Remember, I didn't play it until like 2 months later. And it came out and people said it wasn't really done. Had some bugs and some issues. And people were it just, didn't live up to the hypes of like, was it like a New Order, and then there was the Old Guard. I think it was Old something, I want to say. And then, Wolfenstein 2, where it's like those games were fucking blast. And it's like Youngblood was like, it was fun. I really enjoyed it. I just did single player. I had no interest in doing the co-op on that one. But I thought it was really underrated. I just had a blast with that game. It's just, being in that world was fun. Everything about that, I really enjoyed. I mean, I think it helped. Like it helped though. Like, I bought it on day one. And I remember I just sat there for I'm like, oh man, I'm not gonna play this one. And then I'm like, fuck it, I have nothing to play. I think I was just waiting for like Link's Awakening or something to come out at that point. And I was like, I'll kill some time until that comes out. And I fucking really had a blast with that game. And, like it definitely helped me. Like I said, like waiting that much longer, fix the game, do some patches, and also the fact that you had the anticipation for it left. And your standards for it went way down. Like I wasn't expecting, because I think it was only like a $30 game to begin with. I wasn't expecting, top tier. I was expecting more of like what was it called? The old something. They had like that $20.
The Old Blood.
Old Blood. Thank you. I was expecting something on that level, and that's kind of where I was. And I'm like, okay, expect less. And I went through it and had a lot of fun with it. And is it perfect? No. Is it a 9 out of 10? No. Is it game of the year contender? Obviously no. But it was like one of those really good like 7 or 8, 7.5 style games, where it's like it was fun for what it was. It was fun. I think I played it for like a week or so. And Shadow of Colossus, man, that game, it's different levels, but it's funny because I remember I went through so many waves with that game where it's like, I remember like I talked about it for like I think like 3 weeks, like 3 straight podcasts about it. It's like the first like 4 or 5 Guardians or Colossi you fought. I was like, I loved it, and I got to the middle ones, and I'm like, I'm kind of burnt out in this game. And then the last chunk of it, I'm like, I fucking love this game again. And it's like I love it because it's like a lot of things I love about it is it's Team Ico, and I love Last Guardian. I love that art style. I love that. I want more from what they do. I've only played those 2 from them, but it's like I love Shadow Colossus. But man, you know what? I was gonna go Shadow Colossus, but I think I'm gonna change it. I'm gonna go Youngblood.
Okay. So the last one in round 1, as the number 2 seed against the number 15 seed, Assassin's Creed 4 versus Dragon Age Inquisition.
So it's easy for me. Assassin's Creed 4. I remember Dragon Age Inquisition with the time, because I remember like it came out like the same day as Far Cry 4. So it's like I spent so much time to play. When we went and did our top, because this was our top 10 list, doing that. I was like, I think I'll put. I remember distinctly saying, "This is my number 10 game of the year," but it's only because I can't think of anything better. And it's like at this point, I'm enjoying it, but I don't know if I like it. Like there was a lot of things I was nervous about the game. And obviously, as time went on, I hated that game. So this is like, that's one of those games that's on my top 10 list that I distinctly just don't actually like in the end. Funny enough. So yeah, it's fuck that game. Assassin's Creed 4.
All right. So round one is finally complete. Now we're onwards to round two. So we have inside the first bracket the number 1 seed against the number 9 seed. The Last of Us versus Wolfenstein 2.
Ooh. Oh boy. I'm gonna try to speed this up because we've gone a long time. Wolfenstein 2, great game. Really enjoyed it. It's not as good as I don't think Wolfenstein 1. It's more epic than Wolfenstein 1. But I was when that game was over, especially that final fight, I was like, I'm ready for this to be over. But there's some great fucking moments in it. But it's Last of Us. It's Last of Us.
Okay. Last of Us moves on. All right, matchup number 2 here is with the number 5 seed and the number 4 seed. Rocket League versus Celeste.
You know, it's funny. We talk about replayability being a big factor in some of these games. It's like, but because I remember Celeste was like your in your main Final Four. And it's like Rocket League is such a great game. It's still fun to play even to this day. Going back to it, like anytime. I remember like earlier this week we tried to get in a game together and some people played. I missed it unfortunately, but like even like Rocket League, we still have fun playing it. All the time. Every extra life I look forward to our Rocket League night. Getting a full party together playing it, but it doesn't hold a candle to Celeste. Celeste is next level, so I'm going Celeste.
Okay. All right, matchup number 3. We have the number 6 seed against the number 3 seed. Luigi's Mansion 3 versus Outlast.
I'll go Luigi's Mansion 3 on this one. Like it's like Outlast was a fun game, great game, but it's like, we talked. It barely made it out my first round. For a lot of reasons I've already talked about. But Luigi Mansion 3, man, fucking fun game. Just a fun game. Pure fun. Like, that's, it's like,
right.
Yeah, so I'm going with that one.
Okay, so the last matchup of round 2, bracket number 1, number 7 seed against number 2 seed. Doom 2016 versus Horizon Zero Dawn.
Oh, fuck me running, man. Oh, man. I remember, the only reason I remember playing Doom is because I won it in like a retweet and follow thing on Amazon, on their like Amazon video game Twitter page. And it's like, I was like, I love Doom as a child, but that Doom's not been good for a long time, especially Doom 3. Fuck. And I fucking love Doom a lot. I really, really do. I can't believe I'm doing this, but I didn't think it'd be second round. But I'm going to go with Horizon. It's going to be Horizon.
All right. So let's go ahead. Let's go into bracket 2 now. We have the number 1 seed and the number 9 seed. Metal Gear Solid 5 versus Control.
It's like I talked about with Control in the last round. It's like I didn't have a big horse in that race where it's like with Arkham Knight, where it's like I like Control a lot. It's a fun game. But Metal Gear Solid 5 is one of the greatest games I've ever played. So I'm going Metal Gear Solid 5.
Okay. Next matchup, we have the number 5 seed against the number 13 seed. Super Mario Odyssey versus The Evil Within 2.
Fuck. It's not getting any easier. Oh man, I really, 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 really like Evil Within 2. I don't think we'll ever get a third one. It sounds like because they don't sell very well. Mario Odyssey though, like I don't even like 3D Mario's that much. All right, I'm going Mario Odyssey, but I don't like it.
Okay. Super Mario Odyssey. Okay, matchup number 3. We have the number 6 seed against the number 3 seed. Wolfenstein 1 versus Uncharted 4.
I talk about Wolfenstein 1 was a big shock. Just like I said, the only reason I played is because Justin told me to play it. And pure blast. Going to the moon was awesome. Like I was like, okay, this game's it's fun and crazy. It's weird, but then you went to the moon. Like, okay, no, this game's just dumb, and it's amazing and everything it does, and I fucking adore it. But Uncharted 4, man, it's just it's the perfect game for what it's going for. So I'm going to Uncharted 4. All right, sorry about that. Go ahead.
Hey, man, no problem. Okay, so for the final matchup in bracket number 2, we have the number 10 seed against the number 2 seed. Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild versus Gears of War 5.
uh, Gears 5 versus Breath of the Wild. Oh boy. I feel like my what I personally want to do goes against everything every other gamer in the world will ever say. So Breath of the Wild is a great game, obviously. Really, really good game. Liked that one a lot. Really, really enjoyed it. Came out in a really tough year. Obviously, probably maybe the greatest launch game ever since probably the original Super Mario Brothers. Gears 5, really, really good game. My favorite game of last year. Probably the prettiest game I've ever played ever. Just from an art's graphical power and the colors, the way they pop, the way they shine. Oh man. I'm gonna go Gears 5. I gotta do it.
Okay.
But I don't want to, but I'm doing it.
All right. Let's go up to the bracket 3 now. We have the number 1 seed against the number 8 seed. South Park: The Stick of Truth versus Mario Kart 8.
Oh man. Oh god. When we talk a lot about Mario Kart 8, like the replayability, I love going back to playing a game. But do it anytime. It's always a blast play. Destroying children in Mario Kart 8, it's always brings me more joy than anything in the world. But like South Park: Stick of Truth, man, it was a game I didn't even want to play. It's like, it's based off of a TV show, like probably my first, second favorite show of all time. I've watched the shows, every episode a dozen times each. And it's just like everything about that game hit me. First game I ever 100% in my entire life. And I even replayed it and probably did like 80-90% of the game again when they put it out for PS4. So I'm gonna go Stick of Truth, but man,
okay.
Give me Mario Kart 9, please. That's all I'm saying.
All right, the next bracket right here, the next matchup is the number 5 seed against the number 4 seed. Hyper Light Drifter versus the Untitled Goose Game.
Oh man, I don't like this anymore, Gables. Why did I do this? This isn't fun anymore. Hyper Light or Goose? The Goose. The Goose is looking at me. I got the Goose little mini statue over here. He's staring at me right now. He's gonna like steal my fucking bell if I don't pick him. I know it. When I'm sleeping tonight. I bought Hyper Light Drifter 3 times. I own it. I bought like this special edition physical copy. I got it on the Switch. I got it on PS4. But I'm gonna go. I don't want to say it. I don't want to see the one. I don't like. This is like a coin. This really is like the first real coin toss for me, where it's like I feel like you could ask me tomorrow, I have a different answer for you. But I'm gonna go Untitled Goose Game. I gotta do that one. I don't like. It's getting harder, Gables. I don't like it. It's gonna get even worse. I know it.
All right. So the next matchup, we have the number 11 seed against the number 3 seed, Child of Light versus Until Dawn.
Wow, Until Dawn, number 11 seed. I would give these are both games I drastically want a sequel for. Would give my left nut for a sequel for these games, but if I can have a top level sequel to Child of Light or a top level Until Dawn, is what I'm thinking. Like that'd be my argument for myself. Is like, what would I rather have? If I can only have one, what would I take over the other? Oh boy. I mean, that Child of Light gameplay is so unique, with like the rhythm, do the turn-based fighting on with to a rhythm in a sense. Until Dawn is like, I mean, that game should not be good at all, and it's just so great. It's like the perfect like, if Friday the 13th was a video, like I guess it already is a video game, but if they like, it's like the perfect 80s slasher movie turned into a video game, for what you want, and it's so bad and dumb, but it's awesome. Oh my, I'm gonna try to light. I gotta
Okay.
do it. Yeah.
Next matchup, you have the number 10 seed against the number 2 seed. Gears of War 4 versus God of War.
It's funny where it's like Gears of War 4. I was coming into it like I had very minimal expectations for. I remember I didn't even want to buy it when it came out. I rented it because I'm like, I don't think I'm gonna like this. And it turned out I had a blast with it. And it's funny because like I love these games are like obviously very close in name, but also kind of a reverse of like where I am with these franchises. Like I give zero fucks about the God of War games up until God of War 2018, and Gears of War 4. It's like I love all the Gears games up. Other than Judgment. Judgment's still fun, but I didn't love it. But it's like I went into Gears 4 not expecting a whole lot, just hoping for the best. God of War, I went into like, oh, this looks good, looks different, but not expecting, But it's like I went in and like, I shouldn't say I wasn't expecting a whole lot. I was expecting to be good, but this came out being like it was my game of the decade. So it's gonna be God of War, but it hurts to get rid of Gears 4.
All right, so now we're in the final bracket right here.
Okay.
So we have the number 1 seed against the number 8 seed. The Last Guardian versus Titanfall 2.
Oh man, Last Guardian, Titanfall 2. I talked about a lot already about Titanfall 2, about why I like that game as much as I do. Last Guardian though, man, it's just fucking. I mean, that's a game I waited 9 years for, and didn't I? I was just so happy it came out. I didn't even care if it was bad or good. And come away, and both these games come out in 2016. I think Titanfall 2 was my number 5 or 6 game that year. And this was number 1 game of the year. So obviously I'm going Last Guardian. So,
Okay.
but yeah.
All right, for the next matchup, we have the number 5 seed against the number 13 seed. Spider-Man versus A Way Out.
Man, like I talked about, like I love playing A Way Out. Playing with you, Gables, was a fucking blast. I talked about last week on your bracket show where it's like I still go back and watch like some of the YouTube videos I posted on our YouTube page. Back then, just like I was playing Connect 4, going on the swing together. The arm wrestling, the 3-minute long arm wrestling contest of us mashing the X button.
That was funny.
The whole part where like when you're escaping the hospital and it's cutting back and forth between us. Man, that game is so fucking fun, and I can't wait for the next game to come out. Like I know it's different, it's not A Way Out 2, but like if I'm like it's one of those ones where I'm anticipating most. Like I can't wait to like hopefully you and I could play through this game together like we did with A Way Out. But I'm going Spider-Man. But A Way Out, man, what a fucking blast that game was.
All right. So the next matchup, we got the number 6 seed against the number 3 seed. Splatoon versus Mario plus Rabbids.
I mean, like I said, Splatoon was man, it was such a fun game. I ragged on the game, I hated the game, but it's funny. I ragged on Mario and Rabbids until that E3 trailer. It's like it seemed like a year. That game had leaked a year out, and there was like some screenshots here and there, and like everybody, right? Like that game looks so fucking dumb. It's like this game is not gonna be good. It's Rabbids. We all hate Rabbids. They're the new minions. But it's like, and Splatoon blew me away. I love Splatoon, but Mario Rabbids is still probably my favorite Switch game out there.
All right.
So I'm going with Mario Rabbids.
Okay, and the last matchup here for the next round, we have the number 7 seed against the number 2 seed. Wolfenstein Youngblood versus Assassin's Creed 4.
Wow. Okay. I mean, Black Flag just blew me away. Where it's like, it's funny coming out of like, I enjoy, at that point I enjoyed all these Assassin's Creed games. I think at that point, I enjoyed the first 4 a lot. And then 3 came out, obviously garbage. Connor was fucking terrible. Playing in the 1770s America was shockingly terrible. Like I remember that was like the most hyped we'd been for Assassin's Creed game since the first one came out. I mean, that game brought so many people back into it. And And then 4 came out and was like, I remember, I mean, it's funny because like all these games, like Extra Life it's funny. It can make or break a game for a lot of time. It feels like every year there's 1 or 2 games that make my list, and a lot of us do with Extra Life because like those are the games that got me through it and I liked a lot. And it's like I remember playing Black Flag like all pretty much a good chunk of that year, and just having was that 2013? Yeah, 2013, and just having a fucking blast, swimming around. You're all your guys on your ship are singing songs, and just fucking ship battles were never got boring. And it's like it was funny though. Everything about that game was good. Besides, like the worst part of the game was the fact that it was Assassin's Creed. If it was just Black Flag, that game probably would be better. Honestly, and Wolfenstein was just Youngblood was just pure fun. I'm gonna go Assassin's Creed 4, but it's surprisingly a lot closer than I thought it'd be.
Yeah, that's pretty true. Okay. So with that, we're now at the Sweet 16.
All right.
Okay. So let's go ahead with things swinging in the first round, in the first bracket right here. The number 1 seed against the number 4 seed, The Last of Us versus Celeste.
Oh, God. Oh, this hurts. This one hurts. Fuck. Last of Us Celeste. Man, like playing through Last of Us again, not too long ago. It's just like, I mean, graphically does it hold up? No, but that story, those characters, Joel and Ellie, I love so fucking much. And it's like Celeste is like that game, man. That game hits you. Both of these games hit you harder than maybe like these characters. Like, I mean, Last of Us 1 and 2 and Celeste, like emotionally, it probably hit me harder than any game ever has. Where it's like, not very many games bring tears to my eyes. Only a handful have done that, and like make you like leave a lasting impact on that level. Where it's like, oh man, like games leave lasting impacts on you because they're fun. And you had a great time playing it, or some fun moments. But it's like these games from an emotional level with the characters and the story, and I mean what Celeste was dealing with, and going climbing the mountain, oh man. Celeste. I know it's like that meme of in Star Wars Episode 7, Force Awakens, when you got Han Solo on the platform with his son, and his son's like, I know what I have to do, but I don't know if I can do it. And that's where I am with this one. It's like, I know what I need to pick, but I don't know if I can do it. I'm gonna go Last of Us, but
all right,
man, that hurt. That one hurt. That one hurt the most.
All right, so let's go with the last. Well, actually, let's go ahead with the next matchup right here. We have the number 6 seed against the number 2 seed, Luigi's Mansion 3 versus Horizon Zero Dawn.
Oh boy. Okay. I mean, it's funny because it's like some of these games are hard to judge because they're you love them in different ways. It's not. It's like if it was a fun matchup, this whole bracket would be way different. And it's like Luigi Mansion 3 is here in the Sweet 16 because it's just pure joy for me. It's pure fun. And it's like the 3DS one was fine. There was things I didn't like the way it was built, but I enjoyed the gameplay was so fun. I love Luigi Mansion on GameCube, and it's just like bring it in, and it's just like I said, pure fucking joy, pure fun all the way through. It was my Extra Life game for last year. I remember sitting up all fucking night playing that game. I remember like trying not to fall asleep and like getting stuck on this puzzle that would have normally probably taken me 30 seconds to figure out. For 20 minutes stuck in this room, could not fucking figure it out because it was like 7 a.m. I was 23 hours in or something, and I just could not. I did not have the brain function to figure out what was going on with this puzzle, and it was just so stupid. I'm like, oh my god, but but man, Horizon just, god damn, that game is so beautiful, so gorgeous. Gears 5 is the best looking game I've seen, for especially with the HDR in the HDR world we're in now. But Horizon was the best looking game I've ever seen. I loved Aloy. I still love Aloy. And the world and just fucking fighting robot fucking dinosaurs with a bow and arrow is a blast. So I'm gonna go. If this was a pure fun to fun ratio, Luigi Mansion 3 would win. But from a last memory gameplay, everything in between, I'm going to go Horizon.
Okay. Okay, so let's go to bracket number 2 here. We have the number 1 seed against, let's see, what was it? Number 5 seed, Metal Gear Solid 5 versus Super Mario Odyssey.
Oh fuck. Metal Gear Solid 5 Odyssey. Cause it's funny because like I love Metal Gear Solid 5. I admit that's probably one of the greatest games I've ever played in my entire life. But it's also the most disappointing game of my entire life. And Odyssey is like, it's a game. It's just, maybe it's obviously Nintendo just has the magic of just pure joy and pure happiness with their games. It's like I just talked about with Luigi Mansion 3. Like that game is just pure fun, and Mario Odyssey is definitely in that level. It's like I remember like going into it. It's like I thought Breath of the Wild would be obviously the best game on the Switch that year, and it's like. Even I think you put Mario Odyssey above Breath of the Wild that year. And Mario Odyssey won your bracket last week.
Yes, it did too.
Yeah, that's right. Breath of the Wild was in your finals with it. Fuck. It's like, Metal Gear Solid 5, in a way, like, unfortunately, is like, it wasn't finished, and it's sadly the end of Metal Gear as we know it, the real Metal Gear. Because we're not going to talk about Survive. And anything they make afterwards, if Hideo Kojima doesn't work on it, doesn't count. And in a lot of ways, it's still a disappointment for what that franchise is and was. So I'm going to have to go Mario Odyssey. I'm shocked, but I'm going to go Mario Odyssey.
All right. So we go Mario Odyssey. So the next matchup, seed number 3 versus seed number 2. Uncharted 4 versus Gears of War 5.
Oh, Gears of War 5, Uncharted 4. Man, it's funny because we're in that same conundrum you and I both were last week with like Uncharted 4. Where it's like, you had a tough matchup with it, and man, Gears of War 5 is it's unfortunate. Like in ways to me, I think it's the best it's ever been, and I think for a lot of people, it's like Gears of War has lost a step. A lot of people, especially like the Gears fans out there, where it's like, it felt like, maybe Game Pass has a lot to do with that, but at the same time, though, you don't hear as much. It doesn't feel like, it doesn't have that big event feel like, and maybe that games in general have, I know games is different from last generation where like I always talk about all the time where it's like Call of Duty and Halo and games like that used to be a Madden used to be an event when that was a holiday when they came out. And it's like this generation, maybe we don't have those. Like we have those, like, Last of Us Part 2 was an event, but I felt maybe it was more for gamers as an event. It wasn't like that casual audience feel. But maybe I'm so stuck in the weeds of gaming that I don't see like everything out there in the wild. But it's Gears. Oh man, fuck me running. Uncharted 4 just wrapped up Nathan Drake so perfectly. It's like I love going back and. Like I talk about like the BioShock games are like I thought less of Infinite because the trilogy came out, and it's like funny when like Uncharted trilogy came out. It's like I thought more of them. Uncharted 1 was didn't hold up as well, but it was still fun. But it's like I thought higher of that franchise after I replayed the whole trilogy, and going into it and playing Uncharted 4 is like just it wrapped up everything so perfectly in a bow. And it's like there's rumors of a new Uncharted game, and I hope to God it doesn't have anything to do with Nathan Drake, at least doesn't continue the timeline. So I'm gonna go Uncharted 4.
All right.
It's funny because it's funny with these, like at this point now you're just kind of like talking yourself into one over the other, where it's like they're on equal footing. And it's like like it's funny. Round 1, who's gonna win, and as soon as you say it, but it's like at this point it's like you gotta talk it out to yourself.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go on to bracket number 3 right here. The first matchup is the number 1 seed against the number 4 seed. South Park: The Stick of Truth versus the Untitled Goose Game.
Fuck me, man. It gets worse every matchup with Untitled Goose Game. I don't like it. Um, man, I love you, Goose. I'm looking at the Goose right now. I love you so much. Um, you're a blast to play. I love you so much. You were. I need Untitled Goose Game. I wish almost it came out this year, like right now, instead of this time. Like it came out, I think, like late August, early September last year. And I feel like that was one of those games that I thought about. Like games don't come out of nowhere anymore, especially the big ones that take over like the internet. And it's like I need this game now more than ever. I wish it came out like right now instead, because we need a game like that. It's just perfect for this year. But I'm gonna go Stick of Truth. But oh man, Untitled Goose Game, man, what a fucking cheers to you, Goose. I'm saluting to you.
So here comes our next matchup. We have, if I can go ahead and find it right here, the number 11 seed versus the number 2 seed, Child of Light versus God of War.
Oh, okay. Well, it's God of War, but
okay,
good for you, Child of Light. Number 11 seed made it all the way to Sweet 16. Your Cinderella story is over.
All right, now let's go on to the last bracket right here. We have the number 1 seed versus the number 5 seed, The Last Guardian versus Spider-Man.
Oh. So I it's funny because I feel like Spider-Man I probably spent the least amount of time talking about. And it's like, oh, man. Fuck, dude. It's like, man, Spider-Man is so fucking good. It's so much fucking fun, I think the game is so goddamn fun. Like, just swinging around. Like, for the first time, like, they, like, finally perfected in a Spider-Man game. Like, swinging around the city, have fun. And it actually made sense. Where it's like, where the fuck are the webs going, And the story was really, on top of it, the story was great. The combat was fantastic. The side missions were fun. Like, everything about it was just fun. And it's like, I can't wait for a sequel more than anything. Like, I would much rather have a sequel to Spider-Man than I know we're getting Miles Morales later this year, and I'm looking forward to that. But I know it's not going to really continue the storyline probably of Spider-Man 1 so much. But Trico, man. So I'm going Last Guardian.
Okay.
Corny said, "Don't talk about my bird." I named one of her birds Trico. So.
Okay, the last matchup here in the last quadrant. Let's see. We have the number 3 seed against the number 2 seed, Mario plus Rabbids versus Assassin's Creed 4.
Assassin's Creed 4. I'm going Mario plus Rabbids. Mario plus Rabbids.
Okay. All right, and then there were 8.
Oh boy, lead 8. Here we go.
All right. So this is for the big old cheese here of quadrant 1. We have the number fucking 1 seed against the number 2 seed, Last of Us versus Horizon Zero Dawn.
Man, wow. Last of Us or Horizon? Last of Us or Horizon? I can't even make an argument for either one in my head right now. Like, it's fuck. It's funny because, like, in a way, like, it's almost unfair. But, like, Last of Us Part 2 makes Last of Us Part 1 better in a lot of ways, because that you just, it reminds you of going through with that story with Joel and Ellie for the and just for the first time loving those characters, and just that story and the world. Like, it's like, God, we're so sick of zombie games at this point, and you're just like, I don't even want another one. And just come in and you're just like be blown away by, like, you don't give a fuck about the characters or anything like that, but you just, or you don't think you will. You don't give a fuck about the world, but you end up being like 2 of the greatest characters in gaming ever. So I'm gonna go Last of Us, but I don't feel good about it. Makes me a little sick.
All right. So we're gonna go with Last of Us. Okay.
Yep.
Now for the other one right here. We are gonna go with the number 5 seed versus the number 3 seed, Super Mario Odyssey versus Uncharted 4.
Mario Odyssey 4. Like I said, Mario Odyssey, it's like one of those things where it's like, if you're going fun factor, Mario wins, but it's fucking Nathan Drake, that world, that characters, the way they tied it up. It's like maybe the most perfectly wrapped up video game franchise. Like you always talk about movies don't know when to end, but it's like video games are the worst at it. It seems like, and like they just continue on finding ways to tie them in and just ruin them retroactively. And at least so far, Uncharted 4 has done the most perfect job ever. So ooh, I'm gonna go Uncharted 4. I'm gonna go Uncharted 4 games.
All right.
I gotta do it.
Okay, so we got that going. Okay. So for our next matchup, we got the number 1 seed versus the number 2 seed. So quintessentially South Park: The Stick of Truth versus God of War.
Oh man. I hate this idea of the bracket more and more, Gables, as we go along. I just hate it more and more. Stick of Truth, God of War. God of War is my game of the decade, and I know Stick of Truth is up there too. So that was 2013, yeah. Fuck, man. Like, so like I said, Stick of Truth is like it's your favorite band, and they're 15. You're like just they're 15 best songs of yours, and they put it together, and they put it together perfectly, and it was so fucking funny, so much fun. Played it twice, and God of War though is probably the greatest game I've ever played in my life. So I'm gonna go God of War.
All right. God of War goes on to the next round. So for the fourth bracket, for the last matchup, we have the number 1 seed versus the number 3 seed. The Last Guardian versus Mario plus Rabbids.
My number 1 game of 2016 versus my number 2 game of 2017. Like, oh man, Mario Rabbids though, that game was so fucking good. Like, it's fun, it's good. Like, I always talk about, like, I love XCOM style games. I just don't like how deep XCOM get. Like, it's too deep. It's too like a little too much up its own ass in a way. And it's like I love like how lighthearted this game is. I love. Obviously, it's just like it's the Nintendo thing. It's just fun. It's great. It's it's simple in a lot of ways, but it's difficult in another. Like if you want to get next level with it, like I remember with Mario plus Rabbids, I wouldn't continue on unless I got all the top. I think it was like 3 stars or something like that. I wouldn't do it unless I got the best score. Like I wouldn't go through it. I would restart the whole thing, beat it again, and just keep finding ways over and over again how to beat it with getting the best score. For no reason, I just do it for fun because I like the game, and so much so I bought the DLC and had a blast playing through that with Donkey Kong and all that. But like I said, Last of Us, like I waited nine years for that game to come out. Was silence for like 6 years of that. And I remember came back and literally cried when they re-revealed it. And what was that? The Year of Dreams, was that 2015? E3, Sony's PlayStation's E3 2015, just started crying when I heard the howl of Trico and I realized what it was. And that game, like I got the statue sitting right here, fucking adore that game. So I'm gonna go Last Guardian.
Okay. Final 4. This is where it gets serious.
Oh boy.
So we got the winner of Quadrant 1 up against the winner of Quadrant 2. So The Last of Us versus Uncharted 4.
2 Naughty Dog games makes the Elite Four. It's funny. It's kind of like you're like Nintendo. Wait, are all 4 of mine PS4 exclusives?
Yes, they are.
It's like I gave you shit because like 6 of your 8 were fucking Nintendo games, and all 4 of mine.
And
are
here's your top 4.
Yeah,
It's all PlayStation games.
I can't talk any more shit. That's fucking hilarious. I had 2 Nintendo games make it to the final to the Elite 8 though, so who would have thought that?
That's true.
Whew. Last of Us, Uncharted 4. Oh man, it's like fuck. It's crazy because like we talk about like games build on each other, but it's like Naughty Dog's games built like we talk about franchises, like they always rank up. You talk about Zelda games, they always like that progression of like the I can't think of the word. I've had a lot of beer, so a lot of beers. Sorry, but like that progression, like it's just it suddenly gets better every time, and it grows and moves and gets better. And it's like the same thing happens with Naughty Dog games, where it's like Last of Us and Uncharted, where it's like they build on top of each other. They take things they learn from Naughty Dog, add to Last of Us. They take things from Last of Us, add to Uncharted 4. Uncharted 4 to Last of Us Part 2. It's like you see that progression move. So, like the characters, I love Joel and Ellie so fucking much. Like I said, maybe the greatest tandem in gaming history ever. Nathan Drake, maybe the best character in gaming. I shouldn't say the best. Mario and Zelda, like and Link and all that are better, but from the common era in this generation, it's like I love like Nathan Drake's probably my favorite characters of this generation. So I'm gonna go on Uncharted 4. I can't believe I'm saying that.
All right.
I didn't think that would be the case, but that's my answer.
Okay. Now for the other side, we have the winner of Quadrant 3 versus the winner of Quadrant 4. God of War versus The Last Guardian.
Fuck. Like I said, Last Guardian hit me on so many different levels where it's like, it came out, I remember, and it's like, when it was revealed, like, I was so fucking happy. And it's like, I always talk about, like, me, I love dogs. So it's like a game has a dog. I'm instantly more, like 1,000% more interested in that game because you have a dog in it. And it's like, this has a bird dog. You get to ride the fucking dog. That's awesome. And I remember like being in a weird place where it's like that game was revealed as a comeback June 2015. And then, 6 weeks later, my dog of 13 years dies, Gertie. And it was just like, it was a weird, it's a weird, I know, correlation for some people, but it's like, I don't know. It like, that hit me. And then I remember like the following year, it's like, I didn't, it's like, then not too long after I got Louis, and I was like, oh fuck, like, I was like, it's like you just, in a way, it's like you love your old dog more, but you love your old dog, but then that new dog, like you just appreciate it more for what it is. You cherish the things more and what it is. And it's like, I think honestly, like I know it's weird maybe for like people hearing this, it's like, I think I appreciate that game more, and like Trico and all that. And it's like, going through that loss, and it's like at that same time bringing it back. When it came back 2016, finally got E3 2016. We got that release date finally. It got delayed one more time, but it hit me. I was just like, and playing through that game, it's just like, man, this is like, I don't know. I just kept thinking about Gertie a lot playing through that game, and I was just like, and I was just like, like how the boy would feel if it died and like all that. Like I don't know why. It just like that's all I thought about throughout that game. And like literally bawling like a fucking girl at the end of that fucking game, because like I'm talking snot bubbles, Gables, playing through that game, and it was, I don't know, it's weird. I've always had that kind of like, maybe it's because it's like I know about a year apart from her death, getting Louis, and that game coming out. Maybe that's why I wrapped all three of those things together, in that sense. But taking emotions out of it, looking at the games themselves. I put God of War as my game as a decade for a reason, and I put it over Last Guardian. Although I think Last Guardian's story is going to stick with me more and stick for me longer. I got Trico statue sitting right now staring at me next to the goose. Goose is fucking pissed right now. But I'm gonna go God of War. I gotta go God of War.
All right. So here we are. We are at the finals. The winner of the first quadrant versus the winner of the third quadrant. Uncharted 4 versus God of War.
Wow. I mean, I don't know. I love Uncharted 4. Like I said, like the way Naughty Dog builds their games and their characters. Not only the games are fun to play, but the like the characters are top notch. I don't know if anybody's done better with character development than Naughty Dog in the last 15 years. But man, God of War, just the first time you throw that fucking axe and it comes back to you, and it's like the 1,000th time from the first to the last time you throw it and it comes back, just you never stop getting that fucking badass feeling you get, and then like just the fights you have, taking down the big fucking the ogre things, fighting gods, and it's just like these crazy fucking epic fights. And then the story with Atreus and like going through that, and just like you're paddling around in your fucking boat, and you have I can't remember his name, but the guy with the head that's attached to your fucking waist, and he just tells you stories about Norse mythology. It's like I'm 5 feet away from where I need to go, but if I go there, he's gonna stop telling me the story. I'm gonna go paddle around for 5 more minutes for no reason, just so I can hear his stories because I want to know, because he's so interesting the way he tells stories, the way he talks, all of that. It's like I was entrenched in that world, going back, trying to 100% it, trying to take out all the goddamn Harpy Lady things, whatever the fuck they're called. They look like the Harpy Ladies from Yu-Gi-Oh though. And oh man, just it is like I talk about. It's my number one game of the decade when we did our thing earlier this year. Maybe it was last year, I don't know. But it's so much fucking fun. The story's great. The character's great. It is my perfect game for me. Like if I could, it's like I don't like to do the score thing often, but it's my 10 out of 10. So I'm gonna go in that case. It's gonna be God of War over Uncharted 4.
All right. So there you had it, everybody. The winner of Tyler's bracket, God of War.
Yeah. And if I can do it real fast, if we're doing a third place finish between Last of Us and Last Guardian, I'm gonna go Last Guardian. So Last Guardian will be third.
Okay, so Last Guardian will be third. Yep. So we have God of War, Uncharted 4, and The Last Guardian.
Yep. Oh boy. So yeah, that's wow, that was fun. A little longer than I thought, guys. Sorry about that. But yeah, thank you guys. I had a blast with those. So thank you guys so much for listening to this. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If we could, I don't know, Gables, we'll have to sit down and maybe talk about it, think about it. Like, I like to, maybe not so big, but maybe do some more brackets here and there. It would be fun to do.
Yeah, this was actually pretty fun.
Yeah, I'll do some bonus episodes every, a handful of times a year. Do some fun personal brackets. But yeah, once again, I appreciate you guys for listening to us this week. I was your host. I was Tyler.
And I've been Colonel Gables. Until next time, everyone, have yourself a fun time.
Bye, guys.
See ya.